Randolph Street, Richmond, Indiana. The anchor date search showed that it was tied to 938 South 17th Street, Richmond, Indiana. I have a warranty deed mill going on under the cause number in Wayne County, Indiana. Judge Gregory Alton Horn's court under cause 89D02-1209-MF-000343, which is U.S. Bank versus Diddy et al. And I'm not naming exactly. I don't care about that. What I care about is there are two warranty deeds and two mortgages for one property. It's supposed to be 422 Randolph Street. As I stated, I have 422 Randolph Street, Richmond, Indiana, under the anchor date search that was given to me, and it's under anchor date, the recording anchor date. It's tied to 938 South 17th. The 422, when we got the anchor date search, it showed an undisclosed land contract to 938 South 17th. It also showed a sheriff's deed. So Laura Roberts told me to go over and get this case, which was 89D02-0206-MF for mortgage foreclosure-025. That's February of 2006. Now this is, indeed it was. For if it wasn't, why would Judge Horn allow two warranty deeds to the same property and two mortgages? Totally separate, and these are certified that Tammy Lynn Ortman and these lawyers brought into the case. Rachel pointed it out earlier in her defense. Of course, Judge Horn totally ignored that. Said he read everything, right? Jailed all of us, knew all this. Didn't jail us, but held us in the courtroom. My husband and myself and three other people that were in the audience, and did not allow my daughter, and did this and said, oh, now what kind of a judicial officer would I be? You suck, Judge Horn. You're a criminal is what you are. And you got voted in, and you need to go to jail for what you've done. You have no right putting anyone in prison when you're a criminal. And Tammy Lynn Ortman, just because you got a license to practice law, that just means you better have liability insurance, and you're going to jail too. So these two properties are tied together. And these two foreclosures happened on 422 Randolph Street, reportedly. And I've already stated on them for the record many times in many interviews the facts above, that these two properties were joined together and it was not disclosed. So in this case, Judge Gregory Alton Horn, they tied it up in a nice little bow. And that's what I have in the warranty deed and the mortgages. Yes, this is it. This is for the 938 South 17th. If you'll see, this is in a different court. This is Jack F. Bakley, Deutsche Bank National Trust. Annette Scott, this gives her address, 938 South 17th, and Charles Scott. This is in front of Judge Colger, which I like him. I've dealt with him. He's been fair with me. But this, it shows that he filed an appearance, and they go on down. Files a notice of change of address. So they end up losing the house at this point, which is when Rachel was living at the 422 Randolph Street. This is a 938 South 17th that is tied to Rachel's address via the undisclosed land contract. It's not only undisclosed, there's a lot of discrepancies in it. It could be that the mineral rights and the surface rights belong to Pamela White. And Pamela White, Judge Horn represented her right before he became a judge, and he gave her address as West End Bank. We already know West End Bank and Paul Stickle and Kathy Puckett were all involved in fraud, but the only one arrested was Kathy Puckett. And I already know, talking to Neil Freeman, an FBI agent who handled the case back in 2008 through 2010, that he told me, he said, I felt really bad. Only the girl got in trouble. I wanted to get Mr. Stickle, because what he did was fraud, and what you had that he did is fraud, but that he couldn't move on it. So here we've got officials in government and in the FBI that are being stopped from moving. Why would that be? Well, this shows the case is filed, of course, I say, in Judge Colger's court, and he handled it. If you go down, you'll see that they get a judgment on this. But let's look, because this is how they do it. That's part of the redocket case, and I have the redocket shadow docket that this would go with. And here, there's Jack F. Blakely again with Doyle and Friedmeier, Deutsch Nash, as trustee for Carrington. This is Judge Horn's courtroom, D02, District 2, Circuit Court 2. It gives Annette's address, Charles. They come in, they file these appearances. This is the one that's tied to the 422 Randolph Street. And then they file for 710, a file motion for voluntary dismissal, order of dismissal. It is ordered that this cause is dismissed without prejudice. Why? Because they're going to redock it under the 422 Randolph Street. It's the same exact case, and if you'll look here, it overlaps by approximately 1 month. It says it's over with or disposed of 7/14/2008. 6/19/2008 is where they filed the same exact motion, so they got a month overlap. It doesn't list them as trustee here, however. And it goes on down and does all this, and then it says that they're going to file a notice of change of address. So let's go back up here to, let's go down here. This is the one. This is the 422 Randolph Street. Now you'll notice that the address is not listed here. You'll also notice that Betty Cross, William and Betty Cross, the probate ran through a special Hagerstown court. But this 2717 Northwest B, see the quotations? There's a special reason for that. That leads to Center City, Richmond, which is right in front of Abstract's title of Richmond. Sailor Street, which is a monument street, Sailor Street. They have Sailor Street Investments. Of course, the county and city attorney are housed and involved with Abstract's title of Richmond, and it's hooked on to U.S. Bank, the foreclosing bank that came against Rachel, the one that took a loan that they knew was false, and I can prove it in the beginning. They came in and took what they wanted to, and the judge was told. He said in Rachel's case, nobody understands your case. Well, I don't know why he wouldn't. It's his shadow docket. What doesn't he understand about it? He understood. He just didn't want to admit he understood. It was his shadow docket that was put back into the discovery sent registered mail.